where it gets hard, that's the exact point where most people start to fold. And the harder it gets, the more you push back. You build excuses, narrative stories in your head to make it okay. But it's not okay. People love the easy route. They're out here looking for shortcuts, trying to justify their weakness. Oh, it's okay. Nah, man, it's not okay. You need to work harder. You need to get disciplined. And instead of patting people on the back and lying to them, we need to tell the truth. You're fucking up and you need to fix it. It's not acceptable to sit around and let your life slip away. If you think it's acceptable, then you're lying to yourself. That shit is unacceptable, plain and simple. I've been there. I know what it's like to create a narrative to protect yourself. It's the ultimate get out of jail free card. And society loves handing them out these days. Everything's fine. Don't say a fucking word about it. But I will. I'm taking you to the dark places. The places that hurt. The places that make you grow. You've got to face your own shit. Own your story. Dive deep into your life, the good, the bad, the ugly. That's where you find yourself. We're all fucked up in some way. But that's the beauty of it. I'm fucked up too. But I figured out my process to get unfucked. And guess what? Your process won't look like mine. But you've got to find it. No shortcuts. No easy way out. Here's the thing. My brain doesn't work like most people's. I don't stop when it gets hard. When I say I'm doing 10 miles, I hit 10 miles. And that little demon in my head says, nope, keep going. Someone else out there is doing more. You're not done. So I keep running. That's how I train. That's how I live. Always ready. Never getting ready. People ask me, what are you training for, Goggins? Life, motherfucker. So when someone calls me up and says, hey, you want to run? Damn right, I'm ready. It's not about whether it's easy or hard. It's about being ready for whatever life throws at you. And yeah, it's going to suck. But you've got to face the suck head on. If I see you slacking, putting on weight, skipping responsibilities, procrastinating, I'm not going to sit back and watch. I'm not going to let you spiral into a hole so deep you can't climb out. I'm going to call you out face to face. That's real. That's love. And that's what it takes to fucking win. This world we live in now. You can't say a fucking thing without someone getting offended. Well, guess what? I do. I say it, I'll keep saying it, and I'll never stop. Don't like me. That's fine. I don't give a shit. You hating on me doesn't mean I stop. It doesn't mean I quit. Because here's the thing about me, I don't fucking quit. I might fail, I might fall short, but I always come back. Every time I get knocked down, I figure it out. I study it. I adjust. And I come back stronger. That's the fucking difference. Man, I fail all the time. I fail more than most people even try. And you know why I'm okay with that? Because I'm out here doing shit most people don't have the guts to even think about. Failure. I don't see it as failure. I see it as an attempt. The first, the second, the 100th. The only real failure is not trying. That's the truth. Not trying is where you actually lose. This isn't some feel-good motivational bullshit. It's real life. When you're pushing for something bigger than yourself, there is no failure. Maybe you're paralyzed and you're fighting to take one step. If you don't make it, that's not failure, motherfucker. That's your first attempt. That's the mindset you need to bring into everything. Failure isn't the enemy. It's a fucking stepping stone. People love giving words like failure too much power. Not me. I stripped that shit of its power. Didn't finish. Didn't succeed. Cool. I'll figure it out and come back for more. Your mind always has a tactical advantage. It knows your fears, your weaknesses, your insecurities. It knows where to attack. And if you don't take control of your own mind, it will fuck you up every single time. Your mind will pull you into these dark pockets, and if you let it run the show, you're done. You've got to own your mind. Tell it where to go, what to do, how to do it. You're the boss, not the victim. That's how I live. That's why I keep going. I'm not special. I just picked up a fucking shovel and started digging. My path might have bigger boulders. It might take longer, but it's my path. And every day I dig deeper. Yeah, I have those days where I wake up with what I call poopy pants. I sit there and think, why am I doing this? Why live this structured, disciplined life? Then I remember the alternative is being normal, being mediocre, wandering through life like everyone else, never knowing the power I've got inside me. And you know what? Fuck that. I refuse to be like everyone else. I refuse to settle for less than what I know I'm capable of. And I want you to ask yourself the same thing. Are you okay with being average? Or are you ready to pick up your fucking shovel and start digging? The worst thing that ever happened to me, I lost myself. Hell, I never even had myself to begin with. I didn't know who I was. No confidence, no self-esteem, no direction. Just a hollow version of a person trying to fit into a world I didn't belong in. I knew if I ever wanted to change, it was going to take work. Hard fucking work. And that's what I did. I started working out. I started learning even though it felt like my brain was fighting me every step of the way. But through that grind, I started finding something I never had. Self-esteem. Once I found it, everything changed. I stopped giving a fuck about what people thought of me. Judgment. Mockery. All that bullshit. I let it go. I stopped living my life based on the fear of what others might say. You think that freedom comes easy. It doesn't. It takes time. It takes effort. But once you stop caring about their opinions, that's when you start taking control of your life. That's when doors start opening. If I'm not giving you all of me, every raw, unfiltered piece of my soul, then why the fuck am I here? How are you supposed to learn from me if I'm holding back? People get so damn offended when you hit them with the truth. That's the problem. We're too busy tap dancing around people's feelings, picking the softest words so we don't hurt their fragile egos. Fuck that. Tighten the fuck up. Life's not supposed to feel good all the time. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to face the hard truth. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it own your ass, or are you going to take control? Flip the script. Say, Roger that. Watch what I do with this shit. Years from now, you'll read about what I turn this into. Listen, some people are born genetic freaks. I wasn't. Don't get it twisted. I started at the bottom. I couldn't read as a junior in high school. I was hiding from the world, scared of every motherfucker I laid eyes on. Broken as hell, mentally, physically, spiritually. I had nothing. But one day I sat there fat as fuck, miserable, and decided I wasn't going to accept it anymore. I created a version of myself in my mind, a guy who didn't exist yet, but I wanted to become. That's what I worked toward. That's who I started building. Every damn day. I didn't have mental toughness. I didn't have strength. I had to make it. Man, woman, whoever the fuck you are, it doesn't matter. You can build that person, man. But here's the thing. You've got to commit. You've got to turn down all the bullshit rookie deals that life throws at you. You've got to show up as your real self every single day. Stop caring about the opinions of people who don't matter. This is your life. Own it. We rely too much on others to hold us accountable. We look for a handout, someone to give us a boost, someone to tell us we're doing okay. Stop looking. It's on you. Build that accountability within yourself. This isn't selfishness, it's survival. It's about becoming so damn solid in who you are that no one can shake you. When I was 297 pounds, no one came to save me. No trainer, no nutritionist. No one said, hey man, let me help you out. I had to do the work. I had to grind. And I realized self-discipline is everything. Without it, you're just drifting through life. People say I'm not good enough. Bullshit. You can make yourself good enough. This is the process. It's the journey. Instead of saying, I can't, start saying I will. That's what I did. I stopped waiting for the world to hand me shit and decided to become the person I knew I could be. And that's what you need to do. Build yourself. Own your shit. Yeah, I'm misunderstood a lot. People don't get it, but that's fine. Here's the truth. I made myself good enough. And when I couldn't hit the mark, when I couldn't run as far as I wanted, it fucking haunted me. It sat there eating at me. So I did something about it. If I ran a quarter mile and it broke me, I'd wait a few hours, then lace up again. I'd go out and run half a mile the same damn day. If I had to crawl, I crawled. If I had to walk, I walked. It became this endless grind, a word that doesn't even come close to what it really was. Grinding is too soft for what this shit is. This is pure fucking war with yourself. I wanted to be pushed out of my comfort zone every single day. I wanted to see what I was made of. And when I joined the SEALs, I thought this is it. This is the place to find out. I heard the stories about BUD/S, how it breaks people, how it's the hardest shit you'll ever go through. And you know what it is. But for me, it wasn't the end. For most people, BUD/S is the finish line. it's where they hit their limit and say, that's enough. Not me. For me, that was just the beginning. That was where I started to realize what it meant to be uncommon amongst uncommon people. When you're outside looking and you put people on pedestals, you think they're superhuman. But then you get in there. You stand toe to toe with them and you realize they're just people. Hard people. Yeah, but not untouchable. Not gods. That mystique they carry, it fades when you step into the fire yourself. And for me, it wasn't enough to just get through it. I wanted more. I needed more. I wasn't chasing some fantasy of happiness or comfort. No one sat me down and said, here's how you find peace. No one gave me a fucking blueprint. I found my peace through suffering. The greater the suffering, the deeper the peace. But here's the thing, you've got to reflect on where you came from. You've got to look back at the darkest corners of your past, the dungeon of hell you crawled out of, and say, that's who I was, but it's not who I am. That's where the real transformation happens. When you can sit there, look back on all the pain, all the nights you cried, all the times you wanted to quit and say, fuck that. I earned this peace. If I die in my bed tomorrow at 40, I'll go out smiling. Not because I was happy every day, but because I gave it everything. I did the work. I turned suffering into strength, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Yeah, I pissed a lot of people off along the way. Some don't like me. Merry fucking Christmas. Fuck them. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I can stand in front of the mirror, look myself in the eye, and not give a shit about what anyone thinks. That's freedom. That's real happiness. But getting there, that's a scary fucking road, man. I was a guy who was afraid of damn near everything. Fear on me. Then one day I flipped the script. I found power in fear. I learned how to face it, control it, and use it to my fucking advantage. There's not much left that scares me because I turned fear into my weapon. This didn't happen overnight. It's a process, a brutal one. And I challenge anyone reading this to do a live autopsy on your own brain. Cut it open. Dig in there. Look at the shit you're running from. That's why I talk about my childhood so much. It's not for pity. It's not for attention. It's because I don't want you slapping a label on me. Don't call me a freak. Don't tell yourself he's just special. That's why he can do it, and I can't. That's bullshit. That's a cop-out. You do that and you give yourself permission to quit. You start thinking it's okay to leave all that untapped potential on the fucking table. And that's what pisses me off. So many people die never knowing what they could have been. They think greatness belongs to someone else, someone born with better tools, better genes, or better circumstances. That's the lie they tell themselves. The truth, you don't need any of that. What you need is the grit to grind yourself into nothing, into fucking dust, and then build yourself back up again. And again. And again. That's how you become something more. For the people who don't like me, fine, keep it. But for those of you who feel fear, who are insecure, who are staring at all the shit life handed you, you're the ones I'm talking to. That's where it starts. You've got to own your shit. Own the fact that, yeah, maybe you stutter. Maybe you can't read well, or you're overweight, or you're insecure as hell. Own all of it. Because in that dark room when it's just you and all your bullshit, that's where the work begins. That's where you have to build someone new. It's not a different person. It's still you. But it's the version of you that walks out of that dark room, ready to face everything you've been running from. Strip everything else away, every excuse, every distraction, every damn crutch. You've got to believe in one thing. You. I'm not saying don't believe in God or whatever higher power you look to. But here's the thing. Greatness isn't sitting in some book. It's not hiding in a motivational speech. And it's not even in my fucking words. I might light the spark, but you've got to be the one to fuel that fire. That means shutting the fuck up. Go in a room. Turn off the noise. Stop running your mouth. Sit there in the silence and go to war with yourself. Dig deep. Tear into your soul, your mind, and your abilities. That's where the answers are. But if you're not willing to go looking for them, guess what? You'll never find them. This journey starts with one question. Why the fuck am I here? Why are you on this earth? If you don't have an answer, you're going to wander through life lost, always asking that same damn question, why? Most people are too afraid to answer it. They hide from the truth because the truth is fucking ugly. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone isn't sugarcoat shit. It's to tell them straight up, hey, you're a piece of shit right now. Maybe you don't say it that bluntly, but the truth has to hit hard. You say, look, man, I love you, but your life fucking sucks. You're better than this. You've got more in you, but you're letting life kick your ass, and I'm sitting here watching it happen. The best advice I ever got, a negative comment from my grandfather. You ain't gonna amount to shit. And he wasn't being cruel. He was being real. He was saying you're letting the world own your ass, and to keep this up is going to bury you. That stuck with me. It still drives me to this day. Most people can live with themselves. That's the problem. They look in the mirror and think I'm okay. I'm fine being afraid. I'm fine cruising on this easy road over here. That road. It's got signs, directions, and comfort zones, but it doesn't lead anywhere that matters. You've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to confront that voice in your head, the one you keep running from. That voice. It's the only thing telling you the truth about who you really are. Stop hiding. Face it. And when you do, that's when you start living. We've all got that voice inside us. You know the one that whispers, hey man, you're being a little bitch right now, you're punking out. But most people, they brush that voice aside, tell themselves it's fine, and keep living a soft-ass lie. That's the first problem. You've got to stop lying to yourself. You've got to face the real you, the real me. I'm David Goggins, and the real me, he's standing here telling you, I don't even want to be on this show right now. Why? Because I used to stutter as a kid. I'm afraid I'll fuck up my words, start stammering, and the whole damn world will see my flaws. That fear still lives in me. But here's the thing, Goggins doesn't give a fuck. Goggins is the voice that says, get your ass on that show. Face the fear. You're not living in fear. You're not living in judgment. You're not going to give a damn about what people think of you. That's what I'm talking about. That's Goggins. Goggins is saying to hell with anyone who doesn't like me. I had to work for this shit. Every ounce of strength, every shred of discipline, I had to claw and grind for it. And if you don't have that discipline, I look you dead in the eye because I know you're capable of more. You're just choosing not to show up for yourself. Nobody's coming to save you. It's you versus you, period. That's what I had to realize. I told myself if I'm going to get anywhere, I've got to start facing every damn fear I have, no matter how much it keeps me up at night. And let me tell you, fear will haunt the shit out of you. It'll live rent-free in your head, whispering doubt, keeping you small. But once you confront it, everything changes. You start opening doors you didn't even know existed. You realize, holy shit, my potential is endless. And look, man, you're not going to get there without suffering. You've got to attack your brain, break it down, and rebuild it stronger. That's suffering. That's where the growth lives. It's the weapon that transforms you into the person you're supposed to be. Even the hardest motherfuckers forget how tough they are sometimes. That's why I created what I call the cookie jar. It's mental ammo. Whenever I hit a wall, I reach into that cookie jar and pull out every moment where I've proven to myself that I'm a bad motherfucker. I look back. 3 hell weeks. 2 completed. Ranger school. Survived alone. I see my mom's husband murdered, saw a little kid's head run over. I've been through hell and I made it. Those memories remind me of who I am. Because when life gets hard, we forget. We let that bad moment consume us and we start to shrink. We start thinking, woe is me. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. Fuck that. The cookie jar reminds me I'm built for this, and so are you. But you've got to reach and grab those moments and remember, you've already survived worse. Now it's time to rise up and prove it again. Man, you got to stop looking to your left and your right, comparing your shit to everybody else's. That's the first mistake right there. You're wasting time, energy, and focus. If you're a woman, maybe you're looking at some chick who's skinny as hell and thinking she don't even work as hard as me. And boom, just like that, your mind's corrupted. You're too busy worrying about her to focus on you. That's the problem. You're letting other people's lives infect your own damn mental dialogue. You're out here judging yourself against people who don't even live your life, fight your battles, or walk your path. You've got one fucking race to run, and guess what? That race is against you, period. That's the lesson I had to learn the hard way. This is the David Goggins V's. David Goggins race. No one else even gets a lane. Once I stopped giving a fuck about what anyone else was doing, I could finally hear myself think. I could focus. And let me tell you, that's when you grow. That's when you realize all that stress and noise was bullshit you put on yourself. This is your timeline. Your damn race. Nobody else gets a say in how you run it. Here's the truth. You can't grow being fake. You can't build shit on a weak-ass foundation. I had to burn it all down, strip it down to the fucking mineral soil of who I was. No more layers. No more pretending. Growth only happens when you're willing to tear yourself apart get raw, and sit in the discomfort. That's where the real shit lives. And guess what? It's not pretty. It's not Instagram motivational quotes or Rocky Balboa speeches. Nah, man. It's that dark ass place where your mind is telling you this is crazy. I'm done. That's the real you talking, not the social media you, not the everything's fine you. That voice in your head, that's the real motherfucker you've got to face. But here's the thing. If you can stay in that moment, if you can force yourself to sit in the suck instead of running from it, you start to change. You build calluses on your mind. You strip away the fake and build something solid. And that's where growth happens. That's where strength happens. Most people are okay with being afraid. They can look in the mirror and live with it. Not me. Fuck that. I'm not okay with fear running my life. That's not where peace lives. True peace comes when you strip away every excuse, every fake layer, every fear, and you're left with the raw, unfiltered truth of who the hell you are. We love surrounding ourselves with people who make us feel good, who tell us the shit we want to hear. It's comforting, right? But the second you put yourself around uncommon people, the ones who actually push you, who make you uncomfortable, you start squirming. You don't like that shit. You don't want to hear, hey, it's 3 a.m. Get your lazy ass up. We're going for a run. That kind of pressure. Now most people can't handle it. You know what we do like? That person who says, hey man, it's okay. You're tired. Take a day off, grab some pizza, watch the game. Oh, we love that shit. Why? Because it makes us feel good about being average. It gives us permission to stay weak. And guess what? That's the mediocrity of life right there. We'd rather be the king of the average than step into a room full of savages who make us feel small. Here's the truth. Staying hungry isn't some magical trait. It's about never getting fucking comfortable. Most people hit a milestone, graduate, buds, land a big job, win a race, and they think they've made it. They kick back, get soft, and wonder what happened. Why am I losing my edge? You know what happened? You got comfortable. You thought the top of the mountain was the end, but it's not. You got to climb another damn mountain. That's why most people are stuck in mediocrity. They hit one home run, one big win, and now they're coasting. Let me tell you something. Coasting is for the weak. If you're not building something new, pushing yourself every single day, then you're just another name on a resume collecting dust. You're a one-timer. And guess what? One-timers are fucking mediocre. I don't listen to those people. I don't care about theorists, about people who sit around talking about how things should be. I listen to the ones who've been in the trenches, who've gained knowledge through pain, suffering, and sacrifice. The ones who've been to that dark place, the place that makes you sick to your stomach, that breaks you down to your core. Because on the other side of that suffering is a world most people will never see. It's beautiful, man. That's where you find out who the fuck you really are. But the only way to get there is to embrace the suck, push past the excuses, and kill the comfort. That's where greatness lives. It's ugly, it's brutal, but it's the only way to escape mediocrity. Man, there's a whole other world inside you, but most people never fucking see it. I found it during that 100-mile race I ran for 24 hours. Somewhere around hour 19, when my body was screaming, my feet were wrecked, and my mind was telling me to quit, I realized something. There's a world out here I've never tapped into. And that world wasn't out there on the trail. It was inside my damn mind. That's the thing. Mediocrity blinds you. It's fucking contagious. It keeps you stuck in the same cycle, the same excuses, the same weak-ass mentality. But when you push yourself beyond what you thought was possible, you start to see it, that untapped potential. It's like unlocking a door you didn't even know existed. Man, every single day I wake up and battle that weak-ass version of me that's still lurking inside. It's not as loud as it used to be, but it's still there. That voice reminds me of all the shit I've been through. Did your dad beat the shit out of you? You were dumb as hell. You couldn't read until junior year. You were a nobody. That voice never completely goes away. That's the point. You never stop fighting. You never stop challenging yourself, because that weak version of you, that motherfucker is always waiting for you to slip. Growing up, I thought I was the weakest person alive. And you know what? I was, because I believed it. The most important conversations you'll ever have are the ones you have with yourself. If you tell yourself you're weak, you'll stay weak. But here's the thing. I flipped the script. Now, I know there aren't many people on this planet who can do what I do. And I don't do it for money or fame or a damn trophy. I don't do it for applause. I do it because I'm chasing something that most people don't even know exists. Mental and physical toughness. Every day I wake up and get after it. Nobody sees it. Nobody's cheering for me. Nobody knows half the shit I do on a daily basis. And that's the point. I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it because I want to be harder, tougher, stronger than I was yesterday. Now, people ask me all the time, David, how can I get hard if I didn't go through what you went through? My dad didn't beat me. I wasn't bullied. I didn't have the same struggles as you. And here's the truth. None of that shit matters. Yeah, my past gave me challenges, but those challenges don't automatically make you hard. They can break you just as easily as they can make you. Being hard is a fucking choice. I didn't become who I am because of what happened to me. I became who I am because I decided to find strength in all that shit. You don't need a tragic backstory to get hard. What you need is the willingness to suffer, to dig deep, and to choose every single day to become the hardest motherfucker you can be. That's where it starts, with a choice. Where I got hard wasn't through some bullshit motivational speech or a magic pill. It was discipline. Self-discipline, to be exact. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's holding your hand. Self-discipline is what makes you a master of your own mind. That's where you start callousing that weak-ass mentality you've been living with. You don't build a callous mind just by surviving some hard childhood or tough breaks in life. That's just the beginning. You build it by going headfirst into the shit that makes you uncomfortable, the shit you don't want to do. Every single one of us has a list of things we run from. For some, it's heights. For others, it's cold water, public speaking failure, waking up early, or even just being alone with your own thoughts. That's the list most people stay the fuck away from. But here's the thing. That's the exact list you need to grab, stick it right in front of you, and start working through it one thing at a time. You want to know how you callous your mind. It's not by doing the comfortable shit that feels safe. It's by taking that list and attacking it like your life depends on it, because it does. You're never going to grow by sticking to some easy-ass feel-good routine. Growth doesn't live in comfort. I'm as human as it gets, man. I've been knocked down, broken, and left in the dirt more times than I can count. But when I stood on that stage looking out at a room full of heroes, I had a moment that hit me like a fucking lightning bolt. I thought about my mom, my uncle, all the shit we went through. I thought about that kid who spent his life in the fetal position, mentally and physically broken. Hell, my body's still tight to this day from all that shit. But in that moment, standing tall, I realized I'm not that person anymore. It wasn't about the award. It wasn't about recognition. It was about the pride of knowing I crawled my way out of hell. I earned that shit, not by luck, not by shortcuts, but by going to work on myself every single day. It was the hours in the books trying to catch up to kids who were miles ahead of me. It was the pain of 3 hell weeks, the solitude of grinding away when nobody was watching. Those raw, brutal moments built me. And in that split second, I felt it. This is power. This is what it means to own your life. It wasn't money, fame, or some trophy. It was the pride of knowing I turned a broken-ass kid into a man who refuses to quit. I didn't get there by reading a damn book or listening to some theorists talk about life. I didn't get there off some feel-good bullshit. I got there by grinding myself into the dirt over and over again until I became something unbreakable. I said to myself, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get through this, but I know the only way out is through. And I did it. Not with talent, not with luck, with will. Very few people will ever know what that feels like. To look back at all the pain, the grind, and realize I fucking earned this. That's a level most people are too scared to chase. But if you're willing to suffer the fight and to never give in, you'll find it too. That's where the real power is. You've got to strip your soul bare and say, all right, this is who the fuck I am. You've got to stand there in that dark ass room, no distractions, no excuses, and face the raw truth about yourself. I'm fat. I'm insecure. I stutter. I've got problems reading and writing. Life beat the shit out of me and I let it. This is who I am right now. But guess what? That's not where it ends. That's just the starting point. In that dark room, you've got to create a whole new version of yourself. You're still you, but a version that doesn't give a flying fuck about judgment, about fear, about any of the bullshit holding you back. It's like ripping open your chest and saying, I'm coming out different. I'm coming out harder. I'm coming out as someone who's not scared to take the hits, someone who's not afraid to be weak and still keep moving. That's Goggins. That's the mindset. It's not about pretending you're perfect or hiding your flaws. It's about owning every single one of them and saying, yeah, this is me. Take it or leave it. I don't give a shit. The dark room is where the truth lives. That's where you sit alone with yourself and decide if you're going to keep being that weak, insecure version of yourself, or if you're ready to break out and become the person you're meant to be. Here's the thing. We all have problems. Social media is just a highlight reel of everyone's fake ass life. But in that dark room, that's where the real work happens. That's where you suffer, where you bleed, where you strip away all the lies you've been telling yourself. Suffering is the secret. I don't mean some half-assed discomfort. I'm talking about real gut-wrenching, soul-crushing suffering. If you can endure that, if you can push through the worst shit imaginable, your mind and body will link up and you'll realize you're capable of anything. When I was that scared, insecure kid, I didn't just want to change. I had to. I wasn't going to live my whole life as a punk-ass kid hiding from every hard thing. So I put myself through hell. I went looking for pain, for struggle, for suffering, because that's where the growth happens. When I broke the pull-up record, I failed twice. But I didn't quit. To hit 4,030 pull-ups, I had to do 67 in training. Let that sink in. 67,000 fucking pull-ups. My hands were torn apart. My body was wrecked. But my mind was calloused. I built those calluses in my brain the same way I built them on my hands, through relentless fucking work. Through pain, through failure, through showing up every damn day and refusing to quit. That's how you change. That's how you break the mold. And if you're not willing to suffer to push past what you think you can do, then don't expect to find out what's on the other side of that dark room. Because on the other side, that's where greatness lives. But you've got to earn it. No shortcuts, no bullshit, just pure unfiltered hard work. Here's the cold hard truth I had to face. To become the man I wanted to be, I had to first look in the mirror and see myself as the weakest motherfucker God ever created. No excuses, no blaming God, no blaming my circumstances, no pointing fingers. It was all on me. I didn't sit around crying about the hand I was dealt. I decided to flip that shit. I told myself, all right, if I'm the weakest, then I'm going to become the hardest son of a bitch that's ever walked this earth. Am I that? Hell, I don't know. But you need a fucking goal. You need something that scares the shit out of you and drives you every day. Back when I was sitting there fat as hell, not going to school, getting bullied and with zero self-esteem, I knew one thing. The only person who's going to fix this shit is me. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to feel sorry for you. The only way out was through. And for me, through meant putting myself through the worst shit imaginable. Pain, suffering, rejection, fear. I didn't shy away from it. I ran straight toward it. Why? Because that's the only way you build a mind strong enough to take on anything. You callous it, you harden it. That's what life is supposed to look like, man. It's not pretty. It's not some rose garden. It's dirty, bloody, and ugly. Life is a fucking sewer, and if you're not willing to crawl through it, you're never going to find out who you really are. At first, I thought life was supposed to be easy, like it owed me something. But then I realized, no, man, you're supposed to fail. You're supposed to struggle. That's how you grow. That's how you evolve. And when my mindset changed, my life changed. I stopped seeing pain and failure as enemies and started seeing them as my training ground. Every struggle, every setback, every tear, it was all sharpening me. I was building the ultimate toolbox. I was building someone who could take on anything. Man, I was 297 pounds, scared of the water, couldn't swim worth a damn, and had no business thinking I could be a Navy SEAL. But guess what? I said, fuck it. Who else has the balls to even try? I quit my job. I bet it all on myself. And that's when the real change happened. I started talking to myself differently. Instead of saying you're not good enough, I said you're the baddest motherfucker out there. Nobody else would even attempt this shit, but you're doing it. That became my fuel. Day after day, I kept feeding myself the messages I needed to hear, the shit I was too scared to tell myself before. And over time, those words became my reality. Man, I take pride in who I am because I fucking earned it. Nobody gave this to me. I built it brick by brick, failure by failure, pain by pain. And yeah, you might hear me now all chill and calm, but don't get it twisted. The person you see now, Goggins, I had to invent that motherfucker. David Goggins was just a scared, introverted, soft-ass kid who got his ass beat growing up. That kid was weak, full of fear, and desperate for approval. I spent my life lying just to fit in, just to be accepted, just to have friends. But deep down, I knew that weak-ass version of me wasn't going to cut it. So I had to create someone else. I had to pull a whole other version of myself out of the dirt. That person became Goggins. Goggins is the one who walks out of the phone booth like Superman. He's the one who doesn't give a single fuck about comfort, fear, or judgment. Sometimes I catch myself having conversations between David Goggins and Goggins. It's wild as hell, man. Goggins will look at David and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you holding back? And David will sit there stunned like, man, why are you doing all this crazy shit? That's nuts. It's a battle. Every single day, it's a war between the real me, the scared soft version, and the one I had to invent. Because let's face it, the real me, he loves comfort. He loves being told nice shit that makes him feel good. But that's not how you grow. That's not how you get better. Every single day I wake up dreading what I'm about to put myself through. But you know what? That's where the magic happens. Growth isn't about loving the process. It's about doing the shit you hate because you know it'll make you better. Here's the thing. We all have an equation. Every single one of us. Life is like math and you're the problem you've got to solve. But my equation is not the same as yours. That's why I can't give you a neat little checklist of steps. It doesn't work like that. For me, I want to be remembered as one of the hardest motherfuckers to ever walk this earth. Not because of pull-ups, sit-ups, or miles run, none of that. I'm talking about someone who could take on any adversity, any challenge, and figure it out. That's what being hard means. And yeah, the physical shit. That's just a tool. It's never been about the six-pack or the numbers. That was all about my mind. My mind was weak as fuck and I knew I had to toughen it up. The physical pain, the suffering. That was just the vehicle to strengthen my brain. You know what I was doing with every mile, every pull-up, every tear running down my face? I was building armor. I was preparing myself for all the judgment to hate the obstacles. I was training my mind to say, fuck what anyone thinks. Fuck the pain. Keep going. So yeah, Goggins isn't some superhero. He's a product of pain, discipline, and pure fucking will. And if I can invent him, so can you. But it starts with that war in your head between who you are and who you need to become. That's where the transformation happens. You've got to create the version of yourself that doesn't back down, doesn't quit, and doesn't give a single fuck about comfort. That's when you win. Now, when people hear this, they'll want to slap a label on me. It makes them feel better about themselves. They'll say, oh, he's a freak of nature. He unlocks some hidden potential in his brain. And that's why he's like this. Bullshit. You know what the truth is? Every damn day I wake up and dread the shit I'm about to do to myself. I dread it, but I do it anyway because that's the only way to grow. Man, I kept thinking I was making progress, but every time life threw a little windstorm my way, I'd get knocked right back to square one. I'd ask myself, why? Why can't I get over the hump? I was fixing the surface level shit, learning to read, teaching myself to write, building new habits. But deep down, my soul was broken. I was afraid to go into the basement of my mind to face the demons that had been running my life. It's easier to lie, to create a version of yourself you think people will accept. But that's not who you are. And until I went deep into the sewer of my mind and faced every ugly, fucked up thing in there, I was never going to change. This is what people don't get. You can't Instagram your way out of this shit. Social media is fake as fuck. It's all curated. We post what we want people to see, not what's real. But transformation, that starts when you face the truth about yourself. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. And for years, my self-talk was disgusting. I'd wake up with it, carry it around all day and act on it. That's why I was stuck. The sewer of my mind was running my life, and until I went back in there and cleaned it out, I wasn't going anywhere. And you know what? 20 years ago, I wouldn't be saying this shit out loud. I was too embarrassed to admit I stuttered, lied, got bullied, or got beat up. But now, I can stand in front of anyone, one person or 1,000, and say, this is who I am. And this is where I had to fix myself. That's where real transformation happens. It's not in the gym, not on social media, not in some highlight reel. It's in the dark, grimy corners of your mind, facing the shit you don't want to face. That's where the magic happens. That's where Goggins was born. Man, people called me dumb. Hell, my own father tore me apart, called me every name in the book, stripped me of my self-esteem until there was nothing left. That's when I realized I was alone in this world. Yeah, I had God, but let me tell you something. God wasn't going to come down and fix my life for me. I had to do that shit myself. That's where the mental toolbox started to take shape. I remember watching this dude in Navy SEAL training ringing the bell to quit. He was done, defeated, helmet on the ground. And you know what I saw? I saw myself. I saw the person the world said I was destined to be. Nothing. I saw the guy I said I was going to be, that weak-ass version of myself I couldn't stand. That internal conversation, that voice that tells you you're not good enough. That was me, loud and clear. And because of that, I lied. I told people a version of me that didn't exist. But here's the thing. I wasn't about to let those lies stay lies. I had to make them real. I had to become a real fucking person. That's when I decided I was going to do something so insane, so far out of my comfort zone that it would force me to change. I signed up for the toughest military training on earth, Navy SEALs, and guess what? It's full of the one thing I feared most: water. Most people run from their fears. They build this little box around their lives and say, this is who I am. This is all I can do. And they stay there comfortable, scared of everything outside that box. Not me. I jumped the fuck out of that box. Everything I didn't want to do, everything I was terrified of, is what shaped me into who I am today. Man, when I was getting crushed physically, mentally, spiritually, I kept telling myself, you can't hurt me. And I meant it. That voice in the back of my head, the one that tells you to quit, to stay safe, to take it easy. I ignored it. But don't get it twisted, it was there. That voice haunted me for years. Deep down, I always knew I could pull off something great, but I was too scared of the work it would take to get there. I wasn't gifted with brains or natural talent. I wasn't some athletic prodigy. To even step on the same playing field as those guys, I knew the grind would be brutal. And for a long time, I just avoided it. But then it hit me. I was stuck in this cycle because I wanted comfort. I wanted the world to pat me on the back and tell me I was doing fine. I wanted to ignore the hard truth about myself. That's what kept me in that shallow-ass world of mediocrity. So I flipped the script. I became my own worst critic, the kind of critic that doesn't sugarcoat shit. I stopped caring about what people thought about being judged, about looking stupid. That fear of what others might say, it died. And that's when everything started to change. Slowly, but it changed. Look, life's going to throw some bullshit at you. People are going to wrong you. But when you get to a place where you truly own who you are, when you're good with yourself, none of that shit can touch you. They can try, but it won't fuck with you anymore. So let me ask you, what do you want out of life? Most people don't even know because they spend zero time with themselves. They're too busy being influenced by everyone else, social media, friends, family, trying to live up to someone else's expectations. Greatness. That's whatever the hell you dream it to be. But first, you've got to see it. You've got to create a vision for yourself. And then you've got to ask, how the fuck am I going to get there? That answer isn't out there in the world. It's inside you. But to find it, you've got to get quiet. Shut the fuck up, sit your ass down and dig deep. Search your soul, your mind, your abilities. You'll find the answer, but only if you're willing to look for it. Because if you're not searching, you'll spend the rest of your life lost. Always asking why. Why am I here? What's my purpose? That's the question you've got to answer for yourself. And when you do, that's when the real journey begins. Here's the thing. Every damn morning I wake up and put on my armor. Because I know when I step into this world, when I pick up that phone, when I deal with all the bullshit life throws at me, I'm going to get hit in the fucking mouth. That's guaranteed. So I don't wake up late. I don't wake up scrambling around like a damn rookie, unorganized and weak. Now I'm ready. I wake up on offense. And let me tell you something. There's an art to getting hit in the mouth. It's not about avoiding it. That shit's coming whether you like it or not. It's about how you respond. And that's why my mornings are locked in. I give myself belief. I give myself confidence. And that shit starts with that run. Every day I'm out there running for 90 minutes to 2 hours fasted, no excuses. Right after that, I'm eating, then I'm in the gym, and from there I attack the rest of the plan for the day. That's my routine. You think I don't have time for anything else? Bullshit. I've got 24 hours just like you, and I use every single one of them. People act like they're running out of time when the truth is they're just wasting it. I don't waste a second. That's why I'm always growing. I'm not out here trying to motivate people with corny ass shit like pound your chest in the mirror or scream. Nah, keep that weak ass nonsense. You know what works? A fucking resume of real accomplishments. Every mile I've run, every workout I've crushed, every damn obstacle I've stared down, that's my armor. That's my proof. Those are the calluses on my mind and hands that remind me of what I've done. I don't need to scream at myself in the mirror. I just look at the work I've put in and know I'm ready for whatever comes. But here's the thing. Most people are stuck in these tiny ass mental boxes. I know because I was there. I grew up in a small ass town in Indiana surrounded by small ass thinking. The biggest dream for most people was to work at the local plant, buy a house next to their mom, and call it a day. That's the reality when your mind is trapped by limited horizons. But me, I dared to dream. I dreamed of shit that was way outside those four walls, outside that small town mentality. But here's the catch. You can't let dreams own you. A dream without action is just some weak-ass fantasy. You have to own the dream. You've got to master it. When I decided I want to be a Navy SEAL, that wasn't just a dream. I turned that shit into a mission. I looked at what it was going to take, losing 106 pounds in less than 3 months. And I said, let's fucking go. The dream wasn't some pretty picture in my head anymore. It was a list of tasks I had to attack. Lose the weight, train every day, and suffer. That's where people mess up. They dream, but when the alarm clock goes off at 4 a.m., they hit snooze. They're looking to their left and right, waiting for someone to help them, waiting for someone to push them. Fuck that. The only person who's going to save you is you. This isn't about being selfish. It's about building the best version of yourself. You want to inspire people. Then show them what's possible by taking yourself to the edge. I don't care if you run a mile or 200 miles. What matters is, are you pushing yourself as far as you can go? The biggest trophy I've got isn't something shiny on a shelf. It's my fucking life. It's the pain, the struggle, the suffering I've endured to become the person I am today. That's the prize. That's the message. The bigger the struggle, the bigger the peace you'll find on the other side. When I was out there grinding, suffering for another 100 hours, I wanted you to think about me. I wanted you to know that while you're laying in your cozy ass bed, I'm out here winning. I'm suffering, but I'm comfortable being fucking comfortable. That's where growth lies, in the pain and the suffering and the grind. And most of you are running from it. You can't live in fear. You can't live in judgment. You can't let the voices of others dictate your life. Oh, I'm fat, I'm insecure, I can't read, I stutter. Fuck that noise. That's an excuse. Every time you neglect one thing, your workouts, your eating, your discipline, it starts a chain reaction. And before you know it, your whole life is off course. You've got to be aware. If I start slacking, it's a hard stop. Because here's the truth. Most people are dying with untapped potential. They think they're not good enough, not smart enough, strong enough. And bullshit. You've got to grind your ass into dust. And when you're nothing but dust, you rebuild. Over and over again. I didn't get here by reading self-help books. I got here by walking into the fire, getting burned, and then stepping back in. Again and again. I became that fucking sword. And let me tell you something. A sword isn't just made in fire, it's beaten. Over and over and over. That's what I did to myself. I beat the weakness out. When the hard times hit, I stopped running. I said, what's making you quit? What's making you weak? What's making you afraid? And I didn't stop until I had answers. I put myself through hell to build the tools I needed. That's why I don't quit now. I don't flinch. I don't break. Because I've been in the fire and I beat the shit out of myself until I became unbreakable. And guess what? You can do it too. But you've got to stop hiding, stop waiting for someone to fix you, and step into the damn flames. Here's the thing. What separates me from most people is simple. They see a big ass task and immediately get overwhelmed. They're like, oh shit, that's impossible. Not me. When I heard the pull-up record was 4,020, I didn't sit there crying about how hard it sounded. I grabbed a pen and paper. People were like, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm doing the math, motherfucker. They're standing there clueless while I'm breaking it down. Okay, 5 pull-ups a minute, multiply that by this many hours. How much rest can I get? I wasn't just thinking about the record, I was planning how to crush it. That's the difference, man. You've got to keep your mind open to the possibilities. The moment you close yourself off, the second you say, nah, that's too hard, you're done. Game over. Most people quit before they even start because they've already convinced themselves they can't do it. Man, we live in a world full of soft-ass people. Everyone's scared of the grind, scared of the misery, scared of the pain. That's where I gain the advantage. You don't want to put in the extra hours. Cool. I will. You don't want to push past the discomfort. Fine. I'll do it while you sit on your ass making excuses. It's easy to be great nowadays because most people don't even try. They stay on the couch scrolling, wishing and waiting for shit to happen. Newsflash, it's not happening unless you go make it happen. And Yeah, it sucks. It's lonely as hell. But guess what? That's where the magic is. You've got to get to the point where you're driven, not kind of driven. Not, oh, I'll try. I'm talking about so driven that people think you're fucking crazy. So obsessed that when it's 30 degrees outside and that icy wind smacks you in the face, you don't run back inside to quit. You go back inside to grab more layers so you can keep grinding. Find that fire, that passion, that thing that keeps you going. And if you don't have one, make one. The fight never ends, and when you're in it, you've got to attack. Not just fight, attack. Whatever's in front of you needs to feel your relentlessness. You have to break its soul. That's what I figured out. I wasn't breaking the soul of anything I faced. I was surviving, sure, but surviving isn't enough. That's where the concept of taking souls came from. You show up and dominate so completely, you make whatever's in front of you quit. Whether it's a person, a task, or even your own weakness, you crush it so hard it doesn't want to face you again. Here's the thing. Most people need a reason to get up. A purpose. A race to train for, a goal to chase something on the horizon. But you've got to reach a point where you don't need shit on the calendar to perform. You perform because that's who you are. Why? Because one day the challenge is going to show up unannounced, no warning. And if you haven't been putting in the work, grinding when no one's watching, you won't be ready. Purpose isn't some magical thing you're chasing. It's already inside you. You are the purpose. Yeah, you might have other goals, becoming a SEAL, starting a business, whatever. But the main purpose is you versus you. Always has been, always will be. You've got to wake up every day ready to fight that battle. Not because someone's watching, not because you've got a race coming up, but because you refuse to settle for less than your best. If you wake up in the morning and you don't want to get after it, that's not the world's fault. That's you. You don't give a fuck about yourself enough to make the effort. That's the truth you've got to face. Why aren't you doing this for yourself? That's the real question. Sit your ass down and figure it out. Because at the end of the day, your number one purpose in life is simple. To better yourself. Not for anyone else, for you. I remember looking in the mirror once, man, and I didn't even recognize the guy staring back at me. I was broken, defeated, a shadow of who I wanted to be. I asked myself, who the fuck am I? And I hated the answer. So I made a decision right then. I'm done with this shit. I'm changing. I told my mom, can we get a tutor? She said, we can only afford $15 a week. That was 4 hours a month, 4 hours. I was in the 4th grade and my reading level was trash. I mean, bad. But I took what I could get, that tutor. She did one thing that changed my life. Wish I remembered her name, but what she said to me stuck. You're slow. Really slow. You're going to have to write things down 1,000 times to remember them. I don't think she was serious, but I took it literally. I was like, Roger that. I went to the store, bought some spiral notebooks and started grinding. I wrote the same shit down over and over and over again. A single math equation. I write it 1,000 times. For paragraph comprehension, I didn't just read it. I rewrote the entire paragraph, every word, every sentence. When it came time to learn the Navy dive manual, a 1,000-page monster, I didn't just read it. I rewrote the entire thing. Boyle's Law, Charles's Law, Gay-Lussac's Law, Dalton's Law, all that shit over and over. I probably rewrote the whole damn book 14 times. And let me tell you something, it wasn't easy, but I figured out how to grind. Now, when I think back, I can literally picture the pages. Page 71, boom, Boyle's Law. I wrote it so many times it's burned into my brain. That's how I learned back then, and that's how I still learn today. You've got to go all in. No shortcuts. No excuses. If you want something bad enough, you'll do whatever the fuck it takes to get it. People think I became who I am because of running. Nah, man, running didn't make me. Studying made me. Sitting my ass at a table for hours grinding over shit that might take you an hour to learn but took me 2 fucking days. That's where it started. My best friend Johnny used to look at me like, damn man, you've changed. And he was right. Something did change. I got fucking obsessed. I wasn't just trying to learn, I was going to master it. When I finally took that test, I crushed it. Scored high, got into the Air Force, and thought, man, I'm going to be a badass PA. Every day I'd wake up and ask myself, do you want to be a little bitch today? Do you want to walk around all day knowing you could have done the work but didn't? You want to feel like that? Hell no, man. So I learned how to perform without purpose. No 5K to train for. No shiny medal at the end. It's me the grind and the dungeon. Life sucked, but I didn't give a fuck. Because here's the thing. When the moment finally comes, when the purpose shows up, you've got to be ready. Most people aren't. They don't know how to push when there's no golden carrot dangling in front of them. People love to talk shit about me. Oh, Goggins ran on busted knees, taped his feet, kept going after heart surgeries. Yeah, you're damn right I did. Because I had somewhere to be. And when I got there, they said, hey, Goggins, you can take a break now. You know what I said? Fuck that. As long as my knees can move, as long as I can put one foot in front of the other, I'm going to keep going. You're telling me I might not be able to run one day. That's not an excuse to stop now. It's a reason to push harder while I still can. People don't understand me. They didn't back then and they don't now. I don't care. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not some crazy masochist. I'm not trying to torture myself. I had shit to do. I wasn't smart. And I didn't lie to myself about it. I didn't do that. Oh, you're smart enough, David. Bullshit. I said, you're dumb as hell. Now, what are you going to do about it? You know what you do? You educate yourself. You stop running from the truth. The truth hurts, but it's the only thing that will set you free. If you're willing to suffer, truly suffer, your mind and body can achieve things you've never even imagined. That's what happened to me during this 30-mile run. It was a life-changing moment. I was done, out of gas. My body was breaking down. I was in the worst pain of my life and death felt closer than ever. But I took that shit and broke it into tiny pieces. Forget motivation. Motivation is a fucking lie. It comes and goes like the wind. But when you're driven, when you're so laser focused that nothing else matters, you'll destroy anything in your path. That's where I was. Sitting in a chair, broken but driven. This wasn't about honoring the dead or making some grand statement. It was personal. This was me against the race, me against every kid who called me fat or a loser, and most importantly, me against me. I broke it all down. Step 1, stand up. Step 2, move forward. My wife at the time said, you're not going to make it. She was probably right, but I didn't care. I got to mile 81 and something clicked. The second she doubted me, I flipped the switch. I ran the last 19 miles nonstop. Not because I had to, but because I fucking could. That's what happens when you take the governor off your mind. You realize there's no limit, no cap. It's all in your head, and the only person standing in your way is you. Stay hard.